Welcome to another Now You Know video. Today we are going to be talking about the Gibson Les Paul and how to spot a fake. But first, let's learn a little bit of the history of this iconic guitar and why it is such a hot item to fake today. The Gibson Les Paul is a solid body electric guitar that was first sold in 1952. The Les Paul was designed by Ted McCarty in collaboration with popular guitarist Les Paul, whom Gibson enlisted to endorse the new model. It is one of the most well-known electric guitar types in the world, along with Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster. Gibson has introduced a signature series version with some of the greatest music talents that have ever lived, including Jimmy Page, Slash, Joe Perry, Jeff Beck, Gary Moore, Peter Frampton, Sammy Hagar, and Eric Clapton. Over the years, authentic 1950s Les Pauls have become some of the world's most desirable and expensive electric guitars. Only 1,700 were made between 1958 and 1960. Today, a 1959 Les Paul standard in good condition can be easily priced between $200,000 and $750,000, making it the most valuable production model electric guitar ever built. However, Gibson custom shop reissue versions of the 1950s and 1960 Les Paul can be purchased for less, between $3,000 and $6,000. Certain artist signature model versions of the guitar are considerably more expensive. Jimmy Page has been offered £1 million, or $1.6 million, for his number one 1959 Les Paul should he ever decide to sell it. You can start to see why this guitar is such an iconic piece of guitar history and why so many people put effort into making a knockoff version of it. We need to learn to protect ourselves from the knockoff versions by inspecting any Les Paul that comes into the store before loaning on it. Let's go over some of the key features to check for to verify a real Les Paul. Take a look at the serial number on the back of the headstock. This is a very easy way to tell a fake Gibson to a real Gibson. The forgery has a deeper and larger font and is usually done very sloppily. Note the flecks of missing paint. In this case, the forgery has 9 numbers. A similar Gibson will have 8. Let's take a look at the headstock of this Gibson Les Paul. Note the shape on the fake. It has a more severe, less sweeping flow and a deeper notch. The logo on the forgery is not mother of pearl, as in Les Paul custom models. Take a look at the side of the headstock, at the extra thick binding on the fake. The split diamond inlay is neither pearl or the right shape. This is a classic sign of a fake. If you take the truss rod cover off, you can quickly tell a fake Gibson to a real Gibson. The arrow in the fake Les Paul image that you see now shows that the 2-screw truss rod cover doesn't quite fit. The fact that the screw hole is mostly air is testament to that. The truss rod nut itself is not the right shape. Lastly, between the nut and the wood of the neck, there is no half-moon washer. The washer is there to spread the load when tightening the nut. Without it, there is a risk that this fake's nut will just tighten into the wood of the neck. Let's move down and take a look at the neck binding. The brand spanking new Les Paul should have little binding nibs at the ends of each fret along the neck. This is the result of the way Gibson fret their fingerboards and is a practice that isn't followed anywhere else. If the metal fret ends go all the way up to the edge of the binding, that's a red flag. The forgery has cheap, malleable fret wire, and unlike the Gibson, the binding does not cover the edge of the fret. Let's take a look at the adjustable bridge. Gibson has manufactured a number of different tune-o-matic bridge styles over the years, but never have they made one that has a large bore slotted head like the one pictured above. Let's take a look at the body of the Gibson. The Gibson Les Paul triple-bound body has crisp, clean lines along the edge. The forgery is wavy and a train wreck. If you look at the toggle switch where you switch between rhythm and treble, you will see that the forgery has a large hex nut instead of a circular spline nut. The toggle switch itself is also a bit longer. The font on the poker chip is larger than most Gibsons. This concludes some of the quick and easy ways to tell a real Gibson from a fake Gibson. Remember to check the headstock, truss rod cover, neck binding, adjustable bridge, toggle switch, and the body binding along the edge of every Gibson guitar that comes into the shop. Doing so will ensure that we are loading on genuine, real Gibson guitars and not a forgery.